I'm Randy Rizor. I'm an anesthesiologist. I have a private practice in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm currently a colonel in the United States Army Reserve. I attended undergraduate school at Bates College in Lewiston, Maine, and medical school at the Medical College of Ohio in Toledo, Ohio, and I have a degree, a Doctor of Medicine degree. So on September 11th, 2001, I was 49 years old. And I was an anesthesiologist with a successful private practice. I was married. I had 2 children who were about ready to graduate from high school. And when the Twin Towers were hit, I was actually up on a college tour in New England with my son. Because we were grounded, I ended up driving for 24 hours from New Hampshire back to Atlanta. And during that time, I drove by where the World Trade Center had been. I could still see the smoke on the other side of the Hudson River. And I began to think about what I needed to do to serve my country. By the time I got back to Atlanta, I was convinced that I needed to use my medical talents in the service of our country. About a week after I came home, I called the Army recruiter. Well, to me, it's been the stimulation in balancing my civilian job with the ability to serve our country. It doesn't require a lot more special training than what you already have learned in order to perform a military career. And your civilian skills are so much needed in the Army. So my particular enjoyment comes from being able to take my experiences and what I know and be able to teach others. And so that's why I have spent about the last 13 years working as a trainer in the Global Medic exercise. So my exposure to the Army came out of a need to serve and to want to fulfill a personal desire to serve my country. But once I got in, I began to observe all the opportunities that are available for people in my profession. And one of the issues right now that young physicians struggle with is how to deal with the incredible cost of medical school. If you look at it between the time that I graduated from medical school and now, the cost of a medical education has increased almost 50-fold, literally. And yet, the amount of reimbursement that a physician gets has not gone up by that much. So there's a huge gap in terms of repaying the investment that you've made in your education. And the HPSB program and the programs available through the Army Reserve to repay your student loans can go a real long way in terms of erasing that burden that you're going to carry for a very, very long time. So as I got into the Army, I began to see that there were a lot of people who not only were committed, but were also taking the smart way in terms of framing their career and basically utilizing those benefits to actually hold the lives of some of our soldiers in my own hands as an anesthesiologist. And I've been an anesthesiologist in a combat support hospital taking care of soldiers who were seriously injured. There is nothing that has been more rewarding for me to be able to serve those soldiers and their families. I've actually been in touch and stayed in touch with families of soldiers that I cared for while I was on duty in Iraq. Over the past 20 years, I've been balancing my career in my civilian practice with my commitment as an Army Reserve officer. And I've learned that it's a lot easier than you might think. The deployment schedule is flexible. It's tailored many times to what you want to do in terms of places that you may want to deploy. That's not always the case, but often that can happen. The Army Reserve pays for a lot of your education. So education and training that you get as part of your Army career goes over into your civilian practice, and you can even get civilian educational credits for what you do during your Army training. The benefits to me and my family have been tremendous. The health care benefit alone has been made a huge difference. The financial benefits include a health care program, which is much more affordable than a lot of civilian insurance. You have educational benefits through the GI Bill if you've been deployed for not only yourself, but for some of your children. You also get tremendous retirement benefits. In the Army now, you no longer have to be in 20 years in order to participate in the retirement plan. And you can take that plan with you when you leave, no matter how long your service is. You also, if you stay for the full 20 years, you get a health care retirement package. I've had the opportunity to lead an anesthesia department in a combat support hospital. I've had the opportunity to lead teams of teachers and trainers in our global medic training exercise. Probably the most rewarding thing for me has been to encourage soldiers who are interested in a medical career in terms of forwarding their career, in terms of broadening their horizons, and also giving them the skills they need in order to take better care of our fighting men and women. The part I enjoy most is to teach and mentor the next generation of soldiers. When I first joined the Army, it was for a specific reason, and that was to basically defend our country against a terrorist threat, and one that I thought would be probably over in 2 or 3 years. I've served for 20 years because the Army keeps giving back to me in terms of experience, in terms of friendship, in terms of camaraderie, and in terms of the fulfillment you get in trying to teach and mentor and build a new generation. So begin your career with the end in mind. The planning and the choices that you make early on have a tremendous impact on the way that your future career is going to unfold. I'm Colonel Randy Rizor, and this is my Army story.